Welcome everybody. Now, have you caught yourself before chasing after that next viral trend that's happening online? Now, it could be all sorts of things, and that shows up in all sorts of ways as parents, entrepreneurs, people who are working way 9 to 5. It could show up in what our kids bring home and, TikTok or video challenges that they're trying to do. It could show up in as a business in different tactics and ways that people are using that to get in front of their audience and make more money. Or it could just be something that we use to just, scroll through to help pass the time in our brain. Now, those viral trends, they could be entertaining and they pop up here and there different ways. Now, I want to cover today, why chasing those viral trends, why just sticking to it or paying attention too much to them is actually killing your authentic self, and actually what you can do about it instead that helps you to show up as so much better when you're trying to put yourself out there online. Now, I used to think that, if I was trying to be a success, if I was trying to be successful online especially, that I would definitely have to use that, whatever the next big trend is. And I hit it really quickly early on in TikTok and started building a following. I was like, oh, cool. Well, now I can try this new format or this new sound or this new hack to get more attention. And it shows up all sorts of ways in any of our lives. Now, I know I'd see someone else's post go viral and instantly think man, I should do that exact same thing. Let me go do that. And so I did. I used almost their exact phrases. I copied their formats, their sounds. I adjusted maybe my voice to the sound a little bit. I lip synced to the thing, whatever it was, whatever was working for anybody else, I was going to go try that. And little by little, I know I stopped sounding like myself, and that was exhausting. It didn't just come from because I was trying to create a lot of content. It came from being in that performance mode that we fall into, and performance mode shows up in all sorts of different ways in our life. Now, I know I look back on the stuff I was creating, the content and such, and I realized something really painful. I couldn't even hear me in it anymore. It could have been written by anyone, and I'd sand off everything that made it uniquely mine. I'd take my voice out of it, my personality, the things that made me talking so much with my hands like I do. Now the truth is, I didn't want to admit it back then, but every time I chased that thing, every time I abandoned my natural voice to go after that sort of a trend, I was quietly telling myself who I wasn't good enough, that I needed to look and sound and appear like someone else, and that was killing my creativity and my confidence and my connection with people. But what changed for me is when I realized that, gosh, I've got all these gifts, these superpowers that aren't supposed to be trendy, but they're timeless. They're things that people need right now. Now, let me tell you this. You are the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, which means that you are the only person who can make the impact that you can make in the world right now. And there are people out there waiting for you to give them that superpower. They're waiting for you to show up in a way that you can make an impact in their lives. So I want to unpack this with you today. Tons of data, tons of research, tons of areas to focus on. So I'm going to cover it for a bit. I'll talk about it here for a few minutes. And then I'm going to, if you want, I'd like to invite you to stick around so we could, go through these 4 maybe more in-depth areas, the, actual principles, practices, exercises you can do. So if you're just looking to get the topic, great. Watch for the next couple of minutes. If you really want to dive deeper, then like I said, I invite you to stick around and watch the whole video. That way you can get all those secrets, insider topics, ideas, exercises, and action items that you can go do as a part of that. So your gifts, let's go back to this topic of the gifts and superpowers you have are timeless. People don't follow you because the thing you're trending well at, right? They follow you because you give them something that they can't get anywhere else. And that's you, very authentically you, and your perspective and your voice, and honestly, your lived experiences, both good and bad. And that makes you completely irreplaceable. So there's tons of data that they've done out there, research and such, that shows that creators and even professionals, parents, all these people who lead with authenticity, they're going to build a deeper trust and longer lasting influence than those who chase the hot topic. And algorithms might reward trends short term, but they reward consistency of self over time, because what's real will always outlast what's viral, especially in this day of AI that people are getting so caught up in. So let's talk about why chasing those trends, these viral trends, are actually killing your authentic self, and what to do instead. Let's unpack it so that your natural voice and these timeless gifts can come out. Now, maybe you've caught yourself chasing that next trend, copying the sounds and formats and styles that don't feel like you anymore, because you're well, I guess that's what works. Or I don't know, maybe you're stuck in that endless cycle of trying to reinvent yourself, watching what everyone else is doing and trying to keep up, and realizing that somewhere in the process, your creative spark, the thing that made you and feel alive in the first place, is maybe starting to fade a bit. That could look like maybe you're a parent, trying to capture authentic family moments that end up looking just like everyone else's thing. I'm wondering, man, sharing, when did sharing things stop feeling fun? Maybe you're an entrepreneur writing some LinkedIn post, and maybe it's in someone else's tone. Because you've been told like that's going to convert better, or maybe your employee trying to sound like a version of leadership that's trending in the quarter. Once again, these are all performance things. They show up. Viral trends can show up in social media. They can show up in viral trends in how you lead at work, in how you run your business, in how you parent. I mean, it shows up in all sorts of ways. And if that sounds familiar, then hear this. Like, there's nothing wrong or broken or off or anything like that. You're probably in that moment, if you're feeling tired, exhaustion, like you're trying to figure out, what do I do next? Like, gosh, you've been in this performance version of yourself for far too long, something that's not actually you in any sort of way. And that's exhausting. Performing as somebody else and someone else's expectations, man, that's so exhausting. And that's honestly, it's some of the best feedback you can get, because it's actually your internal soul being like, hey man, this is not you. Because like, the more you chase these things, trends, they get that temporary attention, but authenticity is building that real connection, and people are craving that more than ever right now. So let's dive deep into that. Like I said, I want to cover the topic a bit and then dive into these deeper principles. Let me introduce myself, though. Of course, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder. I'm the author of this book. It's called The GIVER Method. Everything we're going to cover today is grounded in principles from The GIVER Method. I recommend you go get yourself a copy. There's a link in the description where you can get it right now. It's on sale for as little as $1.99, I believe. So go get yourself a copy. Maybe buy a copy for someone else who needs it, because it's all about helping people to discover their gifts and superpowers, create more impact and influence in their world, create more value for those around them. Because at that point, when you engage with people, like, you're more engaged, you're more in tune with what's happening, you create deeper, more meaningful relationships, and truthfully, you start inviting the universe to give you back to you in many different ways. Get yourself a copy. Like I said, everything we're going to cover today, it's in here, and it's meant for people like you and me. I'm a parent of 3. I'm an entrepreneur. I've lived in that, working in that sea of cubicles, right? In that corporate environment. So everything in here, action items, exercises, everything is meant for people like you who can't just burn everything down and start from scratch, or go move to the woods to find yourself, and who don't have a ton of time in their day to go get things done. This is going to cover things for you. I promise you it makes a massive difference. So go, get yourself a copy. I mean, once again, I know I felt this pull towards any sort of a trend that's working in business or online or anything, and I know I would adjust my voice to fit those things, looking for what people wanted. I chased what's the perfect formula for this type of tactic or that type of tactic, what was working for other people, but they never felt right to me. I mean, these videos I do, they don't follow a formula or format that other people are doing. I just do what feels right to me. And what I learned, though, when I was trying to follow what everyone else is doing, it changed for me, and that's I hope that it resonates with you. The work that actually lasts doesn't come from performing and being in that performance mode, or trying to do what's popular. It comes from creating from out of who you really are. And so let's walk through these 4. Like I said, I'm going to dive deep in these 4 areas to help you find your authentic voice and rebuild everything around it. How you create, how you show up, how you connect with people, that's going to resonate with the real you. Once again, we're not going to ignore what works, but it's about understanding what truly works long-term in business and leadership and in life is showing up consistently as yourself, the most authentic version of yourself, with your gifts and superpowers and your flaws and experiences and everything in between, because that's what people need. And so if you're ready to stop chasing that viral idea and start building something valuable, then this is for you. Once again, you can dive deeper into the GIVER Method by getting the book on Amazon. The link is in the description. You can check out thegivermethod.com. You can find us on social media under all the handles of the GIVER Method, so Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. Now, if you're looking for some personal support, one-on-one attention, coaching to help you find their authentic voice and your gifts and superpowers, then check out the link below about coaching. If you run a team, a podcast, an event, a community where this message would resonate with them, then check out the link about speed and podcasting. It might make sense for us to come out and present to your world. And of course, do all the YouTube things. Hit subscribe, tap that bell for notifications, drop a comment for anything that's going to land for you along the way. I love to hear those things. So thank you so much for letting me cover this topic. Now let's dive deep into the 4 principles, if you're willing to stick around, and start to bring back your authentic self. Bring it back to life as much as humanly possible. And so the first area you want to look at, okay, is where you have to find where your real voice went. And then let's talk about how you bring it back. So I call this principle the sounds like me check. Because before we can fix anything, we have to spot where we actually drifted. Because most of us wake up one day and we just decide to sound like other people. We don't just wake up and be like, oh, I'm going to sound like these other people. It happens over time. It happens in little inches, the borrowed hook, the best practice of caption, the format that wasn't really you until, but it looked more polished than your stuff, or whatever. You were trying to follow what someone else was doing, but it didn't feel personal to you. And so your move is you need to do this sounds like me check. you're not trying to beat yourself up. You're just trying to get your voice back on the mic a little bit. So here's what you do that will be impactful super quick, and it's for real life and real daily things. Every day, like set a timer. Like not every day. Sorry. What I want you to do is I want you to just set a 30-minute timer. Open your last thing that you whatever piece you posted, whatever your post, your slide deck, your email, even meeting notes, if that's where you might find yourself performing, and read them out loud. Make 2 quick lists. Sounds like me, where my natural tone shows up, your real humor, your honest take, the way that you actually talk to a friend or a client. And then what's the sounds like performance, where you hear a borrowed phrasing, maybe sanded down opinions, content stuffed into a template that doesn't fit how you actually speak. And what you're looking for is there's 4 flags to pay attention to: borrowed words, muted you, soft takes, and template squeeze. So as you look at your day and you're looking at those things, you're looking for the borrowed words. What are the phrases that you'd never say at a dinner table, but you decided it made sense to write online? What's the muted you? Where did you cut out jokes? The warm tone, like you toned that down. The edge that you have, maybe you removed it. What are the soft takes? Like you had a point of view, but you wrapped it in a bubble to make it easier for people to understand, or softer for people to realize. What's the template squeeze, where like you're a storyteller, but you're trying to fit things into this mold or whatever. And then zoom out after you look at that. Look for the patterns. As a parent, do you feel like, do you feel the most like you when you tell a story about your kid? And at least like you, like, or do you try to mimic this perfect parenting script of what that might sound like? Like as an entrepreneur, like are your strongest posts come from like the lived wins and losses, and your weakest is like the copy that you've gotten from some guru, or as an employee, like do you naturally shine like with clarity, like you let that show through and you have these long form explainers, but you vanish because you're trying to create these like inspirational trends or whatever it is, like any of those, there's just examples, but it could look like you in all sorts of ways. Like just look for the patterns, because once you have some clarity, then you can create some momentum. When you can point at the line and be like, man, that's me, and ooh, that's the internet talking, that's someone else talking, that's not me, then finally you know what you can do next. You can do more of the first, the things that are me, and less of the second, the things that are not me. And once again, it's not about being perfect, but it's about trying to sound more and more like the person people want to follow or hire or buy from or love, because that's the real you with all the fun and weirdness and gifts and experiences that you have. And that takes us to the second area that I want to focus on, which is rebuilding your voice around what makes you, you. So call it like your gift comeback. Which, gifts are important to me because, the G in GIVER method stands for your gifts, your superpowers. So you can hear me talk about it a lot. But once you've actually spotted what you've been chasing, like the trends and things like that, now you can bring you back to center, because the truth is, it's not enough to just stop copying everyone else. Like you actually have to remember what made you really magnetic before all of that noise. What were those natural strengths, the way you think, the way that you make people feel? So that's where this gift comeback plan starts to come into play, because it's about looking at it through the lens of a 30-day reset that's designed around how you're going to rebuild your voice or your content, around your actual gifts and superpowers, the ones that you can't download or be copied or be AI'd by anything. I did a big video about AI yesterday, and we talked about the authenticity. Because let's be real, the reason trend chasing burns people out, especially burns you out, isn't the hustle, it's disconnection. You're not authentically you, you're working against who you are. And so when you start creating from your real strengths, you're going to feel it. So much more energy, so much more joy. People start responding because it makes them feel real, makes things feel real again, and they want. So let's talk about the 30 days. I'm going to break it down into a couple different weeks, into 4 weeks. Okay, so here's how you can do it week by week. Week 1, like remember what you're good at. You're going to grab a notebook. You're going to write down 3 things you do now that come easy to you, but that can blow other people away as you're doing it. So can you make dry topics sound fun? Are you the person who can walk into a tense room and calm it down? Do you have a knack for really simplifying the chaos? Whatever it is. Maybe ask a few people that you know really well, like, when do you see me at my best? What would you refer someone to come talk to me about because I could help them? You can be surprised how clear your gifts already are if you just stop and notice them. If you need more help with that, then check out the GIVER Roadmap links that we have about our GIVER Roadmap process, or get yourself a copy of the book. Like, it's going to help you a ton to define those gifts and superpowers. Week 2, you're going to create from your strengths. So this is where, everything that you create, a post, a pitch, conversation, whatever, you're going to focus on how you can feature at least one of your gifts in that. So if humor is your gift, like use it. If clarity is the thing, like structure a way around that. If empathy is your superpower, then lead with that tone. Stop asking like, well, what's trending, and start asking like, man, how can I give my gifts here? And when you do that, your voice comes back instantly, and truthfully, so does your confidence. And then in the third week, you're going to measure what actually matters. So you're going to forget about the vanity metrics for a minute. You're going to forget about the views, the clicks, the likes, the comments, all that. And instead, like, just, hey, does this feel like me? Does it energize me? Did anyone say like, man, I needed this? I feel like you get me. Like, those are real metrics and connections and alignment and impact. And you should be like tracking those things. And then in the fourth week, you're going to look back. It's the double down on what's real. Look back at the past 3 weeks. What felt easy? What got people like talking in a real way? Whatever it may be, whatever your zone is, like take that and now be ruthless. Cut the things that drain you. Cut what feels forced. You don't need to keep showing up where your gifts go to die. That way you can double down on what's authentic. Your creativity is gonna stop feeling like a chore. It's gonna start feeling like freedom again. I love making these videos because I get to do them from a place that's real to me. Like the awareness is great of knowing what you're chasing, but rebuilding is where things start to change. Like you're gonna have that root expression of your just natural abilities, your natural gifts. You stop performing. You really can connect with people better. And when you stop chasing the attention, you can create more impact. And you do that in a way that the universe just pays you back, because things will click. Your energy comes back, your confidence, your influence. Trends are going to fade. Whatever the trend may be, there's all sorts of them that happen over time. Your gifts won't. And the second you start creating from who you really are, and you realize that, like, man, you're never behind. You've been buried by trying to jump after these other trends and topics, and that's not you. That's not what the world needs from you. And so the third area I want to focus on is like how to tell when you're actually being you versus being in that performance mode. So real versus like performance, like tracker that you need to set up. Because even after you start finding your voice again, it's easy to drift back into that performance mode, like without even noticing. And like I said, I know this because I do it all the time. You hit record, you sit down, you write, suddenly like you're not you anymore. You're that version that's trying to sound like what works. And so that's why like you want to use this real versus performance tracker where it's a exercise you want to do over 7 days. That's going to train you to catch yourself in the act, like to literally like see when you're showing up as your real self versus slipping away into performance. Once again, I don't want to, like, it's not about judgment or any way or being perfectly real all the time, but just recognition. Because the faster that you notice that shift, the easier it is to stay grounded with your real voice before the algorithm or even the fear starts to edit it out. And so here's what I want you to do. Like, this should be super simple. You're going to open up a note on your phone. You're going to have, write out 2 things, 2 sets of lists. That sounds like me, sounds like performance. And for 7 days, jot down moments that stand out. Like on the sounds like me side, like capture the times that you felt naturally like yourself. When you told the truth without polishing it, you laughed at your own joke. You shared a story that was raw and real and you saw it connected with people. You said the thing that just felt effortless, And then on the other side, like what the sounds like performance side is where you capture the moments where you notice yourself trying to force something, rewriting a post 5 times to sound smarter, using buzzwords you'd never say in real life, pretending like to be motivated when in reality you're just exhausted. And at the end of the week, look back at those patterns. When are you the most authentic? Where are you? What are you doing? What type of things are you typically doing? Maybe it's the one-on-one conversation. Maybe it's the when there's no camera or audience. Like, maybe that's you're authentic in those moments of just real connection, and when you're not on stage. When do you perform? Maybe when you're being evaluated, or when you're online, or comparison sneaks in. Weird. I've got a couple videos on the channel that dive deep into comparison. And then ask yourself a question, which version of me actually connects better? Spoiler, it's never going to be the perform one. It's always going to be the authentic one. It's going to be the one that's truly you. Because when you find your voice, like it's not a one-time discovery. It's a daily choice. You have to commit to it intentionally to start showing up in that way. And so when you track it, it builds this awareness muscle so that you can catch yourself mid-sentence, like, wait a second, that's not me. I need to show up as me. And when you start to notice it, like now you've got the power to pivot, the power to really stay grounded with who you are, and the power to like lead as a version of you that, people are actually going to buy into and trust. Because like your authenticity doesn't come from trying any harder. It's from noticing faster when these things are happening. And this sort of a simple daily habit, like can help you do that just one real moment at a time by catching yourself in that moment. And then the fourth area that I wanted to focus on, which is how you stay rooted like when the next trend tries to pull you under. So like this is, you basically call it like a creator compass. Once again, creator doesn't necessarily mean that you're trying to be viral on a social media channel. You be creator in all sorts of ways, you know, but just because you find your voice doesn't mean that like the temptation to chase whatever that trend is isn't going to come. You still see something being, you know, doing successful, going viral, whatever. You think like, maybe I need to do that. And that's where most people slip. And so that's why this idea of like this, having a compass, this creator compass, as like your North Star for the decisions of what you're going to go do. It's not about saying no to everything. You know, it's just about knowing what to, like, why you're saying yes to certain things, why you're saying no to other things. There's a simple filter that keeps you grounded in like what's timeless instead of what's trending. Because the truth is, you can't outpace the trends. The trend's already happening by the time you know about it. But you can outlast those things. And you can you do that by staying anchored with your gifts and your energy and the real value you're going to bring to people. So the first thing, like, here's how I want you to do this. There's 4 simple filters to think about. The first one is your gift alignment that we talked about. Does it actually come from my strengths, or am I trying to be someone I'm not? You know, whatever that thing may be, if you're naturally calm and thoughtful when, you know, when trends are demanding high energy hype or whatever, like, then you're forcing it. Like, if you're funny and the format makes you sound like some sort of corporate robot, man, you're muting that magic you have in humor. Like, whatever it is, don't let yourself lose yourself, you know? Like, don't lose what you're naturally good at. Use it. Like, keep going forward. So the filter is like, does this align with my gifts? If it doesn't, like, then say no to it. You know, hey, does it fit how I communicate? Green light, like, go with it. Yeah, if not, like, I'd rather be pretending, like, I feel like I'm pretending, I'm trying to be louder or cooler, or this is different than who I am. Then maybe that's your red light to be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. The second filter is the timeless test. The second question is like, will this matter 6 months from now? Or am I just chasing a wave that's about to crash? Because trends are like sugar highs. They spike, they fade. But the timeless value compounds over time. It keeps working long after that noise like dies down. So, you know, ask yourself, would this still help someone a year from now? If yes, go for it. If no, maybe save your energy. You know, you're not building you're not building a feed, like, you're building a body of work. And then think about it this way. The third filter is like connection over metrics. So think about the third question, which would be like, am I creating this to get views or to create value? Because once again, the universe rewards value when you're like, I'm just trying to create this to give to other people. Because those are two very different games. You know, views is egocentric and egometric. Connection is impact. You can't pay your bills with likes, but you can build like movement with trust. And so, am I doing this to actually help someone? Great, green light, go do it. You know, am I doing this because I want to look successful? I want to look a certain way? Maybe that's your red light. Because when you pick connection over clicks, you invest in something that lasts way longer than the trend. Like, and that's relationship equity. Those are those relationship riches that I'm talking about. And then our fourth one is going to be, the fourth filter is this energy check, where it's, you know, the final question you're going to say is like, does this fuel me or drain me? Because your energy is a real currency. We only have 3: time, energy, and money. And so, you know, trend chasing is going to burn energy so fast, but authentic creation always fuels you for the long run. So if you dread creating something, that might be your signal not to do it. If you feel lit up while you're doing it, curious or alive while doing it, like, that's your lane to keep going forward. That's the green light to like, man, I do this because I didn't have to perform to do it. And then, you know, write those 4 questions down on a sticky note. Put it maybe somewhere where you can't miss it, on your desk or your phone wallpaper or notebook or whatever. And before you jump on anything new, maybe run through that compass. You know, if it passes all 4 of these yeses, if you're getting green lights on all of them, like, great. If not, maybe it's a no. And if you tried that for a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, like, you're going to see that there's way less noise. You have way more peace and way more resonance. You're going to be building more energy in the things that you're choosing to do day by day. Like, because you find your authentic voice isn't just a finish line, that's the starting point. The compass, this creator compass, it prevents you from drifting into the old patterns. The people who create real lasting impact aren't the ones who jump on every wave. They're the ones who just plant their flag and be like, this is what I am, this is who I am, in a very real and true way. And like, let come whatever comes, because this is who I am, and I'm going to keep showing up as me throughout that process. That's how you stop chasing this relevance, and you start becoming irreplaceable to the people that matter the most. And so as we wrap this all up, you know, but what we're really talking about is chasing viral trends. Like it doesn't just waste your time, but it really does quietly kill your authentic self. And every time you mold yourself into fit what's working, you go into that performance mode. Like you trade something priceless that you could be giving to other people. You replace that timeless connection for temporary attention. Like real influence doesn't come from copying what's hot. It comes from showing up as consistently you, because you are the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, only person who can make the impact that you can make. You know, once again, it isn't about another picking up the next content strategy or whatever. This is about your identity. Remembering who you are, like just naturally, you know, and what you're good at, what those gifts and superpowers are that you have, because the whole reason people are drawn to you in the first place is because of those things. You know, your gifts aren't trendy because like they don't need to be. They're timeless, they're human, and no algorithm could ever replace that for you. So here's my challenge for you this week. Like pick one of the practices we talked about, you know, audit like how authentic you're being. Look at that voice comparison, like how am I coming across to other people? Whatever it may be, just start somewhere. Because this transformation that maybe you've been postponing, it doesn't require you to learn the latest trend to, you know, or become an optimized leader as a part, like whatever. Like you're not going to optimize harder in any sort of way. It starts when you just stop performing. Just remember like who you actually are and show up that way. Because you reconnect with your real voice and your natural rhythm and your actual gifts and superpowers, like the ones that made you magnetic before. Now you stop trying to look for the approval and you start adjusting to where you're making impact. And so if you want to dive deeper into this topic, then that is where you'd go get yourself a copy of the GIVER method. Like I said, link is in the description. You can get it for as little as $1.99 right now. Get it for yourself. Get it for someone else who needs it. Go to givermethod.com. You know, learn about the ways of like rediscovering your gifts, reconnecting with your authentic self, and building lasting impact from where you already are and who you actually are. If you're looking for that one-on-one attention, once again, check out the coaching link below. And if you run a team, a podcast, a community, have some sort of event, I'd love to bring this conversation to them. You'll find a link below about speaking and podcasting. Just before you go, remember this. Like the most dangerous trend right now isn't a dance or a sound. It's performing, like trying to be performance mode, not being authentic. You know, you're quietly burying yourself as a part of that. Everyone's trying to look real, but few people actually are being real. The gifts that you have, they aren't trendy. They would make you powerful, and the algorithm might boost what's viral right now, but people remember what's real. You know, the ones who built lasting influence, like they aren't ones that mastered some sort of a trend or hit on that one trend that made everything happen. They're the ones who stayed rooted in who they were, even while, you know, everyone else is chasing after these like formulas and these trends and things that they think should happen, because there's a world where everyone sounds the same. Then the person who sounds like themselves, the one who's actually real and consistent and just unapologetically themselves, human, is the one that people remember and trust and keep coming back to. Like your authentic voice isn't some liability to fix. It's the edge that you've been ignoring. Like the moment you stop chasing these viral things and start being valuable from who you really are, man, you won't just get seen. You'll be remembered and trusted, and then you become irreplaceable. Remember, you're the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, the good ones, the bad ones, everything. But you're the only person because of that who can make the impact that you can make right now, and there are people waiting for you to realize that. And when you do start giving from that place, the universe will always pay you back. Invite the universe to pay you back as a part of that. So hopefully you've been able to take stuff away from this video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, all the YouTube things if you haven't already. Comment anything that you took from this that maybe you're going to go start putting into motion. You know, check out the other videos on the channel. There might be other things that land for you. And then, of course, go get yourself a copy of the GIVER method. It will change your life. Hopefully, we'll catch you in our next video. Check the links down in the description, and we'll see you real soon. Have a good one.